Okay, tonight we start saying the same Talamotor in the Shemona Esrei. So we're going to learn a little bit the basic dinim of Talamotor, then, interesting questions about Talamotor that Halacha discusses. So if you want to follow in the Siddur, we can go to Ma'ariv, because it starts with Ma'ariv. So if you want to look at Ma'ariv in the Siddur on page 126, okay? So now instead of saying the same bracha, we have to say the same Talamotor levracha. Okay? Because now is the rainy season. Now in Eretz Yisrael we learned they began saying the same Talamotor already on the 7th of Cheshvan. Why did they say it on the 7th of Cheshvan? So we learned already, briefly. We mentioned rain, Mashu V'rocha Meir Geshem, on Shmini Atzeres. Why? Because Sukkot is over, basically. So now we can praise Hashem that He gives rain. We don't ask for rain, because when you don't want rain at certain times. So people in Eretz Yisrael, they all went up to the Beis HaMikdash for Yom Tov. The Gemara says it took 2 weeks for the last person to get home. So 2 weeks after the end of Sukkot is a week until Cheshvan begins, and then a week into Cheshvan. So in Eretz Yisrael, the night of Zayin Cheshvan, they would ask for V'sein Talamotor, meaning they would ask Hashem for rain. In Bavel, the Gemara says that they would not need rain because it was a different climate. It wasn't full of mountains and things like Eretz Yisrael had. So therefore, in Bavel, they didn't need rain until 60 days after Tekufas Tishrei. Whatever that means, there's 4 seasons.
60 days after
what?
60 days after
Tekufas Tishrei. Because there's 4 seasons. There's Kufas Tishrei, Teves, Nisan, and Tammuz. So they didn't need rain until 60 days after Kufas Tishrei, which is according to the secular calendar. So therefore, bottom line is either December 4th at night or December 5th at night, depending if it's a leap year or not, whatever. So anyway, tonight we start saying in Bavel, and even though there are opinions that say that everybody should start beginning when Eretz Yisrael does, the Pro Halacha is not like that. Outside of Eretz Yisrael, we begin saying the same Talamotor 60 days after Tekufas Tishrei. All practical purposes, it means starting tonight, we say the same Talamotor. So what happens in Baruch Aleinu on 126 for Ma'ariv? So you're supposed to say the same Talamotor levrach. What happens if you finished? You didn't say it. So if you're still within the bracha, you didn't say Baruch Atah Hashem, you didn't say Hashem's name yet, so then you say the same Talamotor levracha, and according to most opinion, you just continue again, Al Pnei Adam and Sabeinu Mutavach. You go back to where it was supposed to be. What happens if somebody said Baruch Atah Hashem Mevarech Hashanim? They can say then and there the same Talamotor levracha. And they continued Tka b'Shofar. Once they began the word Tka, so then you still hope yet. In middle of Shema Koleinu, on page 127, before the last line of the bracha, when you say Mefanechem Alkeinu Reikom Al Teshivenu, that is the part of the bracha you can add whatever you want, halachically. So then you say V'sein Talamotor levracha. Okay, then you just add the same Talamotor levracha. What happens if you finish Gata Shmek Baruch Atah Hashem Shemei Tefillah? Again, if you didn't say Ritzei yet, you say the same Talamotor levracha and start Ritzei. Once you said the word Ritzei, so now you have to go back to Baruch Aleinu. Anywhere later on in the Shemona Esrei where you realize you did not say the same Talamotor, you have to go back to the beginning of the Shemona Esrei. To Baruch Aleinu. If you finish the Shemona Esrei, then you have to go back and repeat the Shemona Esrei. Okay? What happened if somebody missed it, let's say it's Shachris, and they reminded themselves by Mincha, so they have to daven 2 Mincha Shemona Esreis. They missed it at Mincha, now they're davening Ma'ariv, you have to daven 2 Ma'ariv Shemona Esreis. Okay? So the bottom line is, if you're in the bracha, you say the same Talamotor. Once you said the word Tka, you have to wait until Shema Koleinu. If you started with Tzei, then you have to go back to Baruch Aleinu. If you finish the Shemona Esrei, then you have to go back to the beginning. Now there's an interesting question. I'll tell you why it's practical. All the Chaver Kadishas have one day a year, it's a fast day. All the members of the Chaver Kadisha have a minute, one day a year they fast. With Slichas, Kriyas HaTorah, the whole works. If there's a million of them, which in the big cities there are. Why? In case he didn't give proper respect to the dead body, so that's the fast of tshuva, you know what? So many Chaver Kadishas pick Zayin Adar, Moshe Rabbeinu's Yortzeit. In Chabad, it's Tezvav Kislev, which is tomorrow. So tomorrow is the Chaver Kadisha fast. So what happens if and they mamish with a minyan, they say Aneinu and Shema Koleinu by Mincha. So what happens if somebody is fasting, Chaver Kadisha, and they realize he didn't say the same Talmud, and now you're in the middle of Shema Koleinu. What do you say first? Aneinu or V'sein Talmud Levracha? So the Paskim write you first to say V'sein Talmud Levracha. Why? Because for that you have to repeat. If you forget Aneinu, you don't have to repeat the Shemon Esrei. So V'sein Talmud is more important than Aneinu, so therefore you have to say V'sein Talmud Levracha, Aneinu Hashem Aneinu. What? Huh? If you got it by Shabbos already, it's too late. No, because it's not going to do anything. You're not saying the same Talmud on the other one anyway. Okay, Yahweh is a whole different story. But anyway, that's okay. So now that's the basic din of the Saint Talmud. Now you have interesting questions like this. What happens if a guy from Chutz La'aretz, an American, is in Eretz Yisrael on Zayin Cheshvan? Now he's going back to America. America doesn't start until December 5th or 4th, whatever. So now, but he's in Eretz Yisrael and Zayin Cheshvan. Does he start or doesn't he start? So the din is, most opinions, it's a big, all of these things I'm saying now are worlds of, millions of opinions. I'm saying this practical halacha, the way we paskin. So then if you're in Eretz Yisrael, when you start saying like the people in Israel. Right now you're in Israel, that's what there are people that opinions say not like this, but most paskim say that what you do is, you're in Israel, it's Zayin Cheshvan, you're in a country that needs rain, your family's home and you're going home 5 days later, it doesn't matter. You start saying the same Talmud Levrach. Then what happens when you go home? So, well, again, there's different opinions, but the way we hold is, you continue saying it. You started, you continue saying it. Eretz Yisrael needs rain. There are countries that need rain. America doesn't, but you started already. So if you started, you continue saying the same Talmud throughout, once you started. Now what happens if you're a chazan in a shul, and they're not saying it yet? Right? It was 2 weeks ago. So the din is like this. In the quiet Shemon Esrei, you say the same Talmud. In the repetition, which is for the people of the community, and they're not saying it yet, then you don't say the same Talmud. You just say the same bracha. What?
Isn't the Shema Esrei for the Chazan really count for only the second time when he says it out loud?
Yeah, but he can't say it out loud with saying Talmud because it's not for the tzibur.
No, then saying it quietly.
But nowadays, B'chal, the whole din doesn't apply because today we have Sidurim. The reason why the Chazan, it's a general din in halacha about Chazar Seshatz. If the Chazan is repeating the Shemon Esrei, why does he say the first one? He's going to anyway be saying the second one. Why is he saying it twice? So halacha says, l'sadar is tefillah, to organize it, to practice. Because those they didn't have Sidurim. That's why the whole concept of repetition was for those people that didn't know how to daven. So the reason why halacha said the Chazan does it was l'sadar tefillah, to practice before he does it publicly. But it says technically his main tefillah would be the second one. But that doesn't apply today because now we have Sidurim. And it's just because the Chacham instituted Chazar Seshatz. But Chazar Seshatz, the bottom line, is for the community. Your private Shemon Esrei you're doing the first time. And you can't say the same Talmud in the second one because for them you don't say the same Talmud yet. What happens if a guy from Eretz Yisrael is in Chutz La'aretz, Zayin Cheshvan. So he doesn't start with saying Talumata, because he's where he is now. They don't say it. You know what the tzibur does. But when he goes home, then he has to start saying the same Talumata. What?
The guy started in Israel and came here, and then he forgot about the question when I saw him not asked to repeat. What does he do?
He doesn't have to repeat. He wouldn't have to repeat. Number one, there's opinions that say if your mind is to go back, then you don't say anyway. You don't start like in Israel. So Poskim right, because there are opinions that say you wouldn't start anyway, so for sure you don't repeat the Shemon Esrei.
He's going back.
What do you mean he's going back?
He's in Israel. He started there, he came for a week here, he's going back.
But right here they don't need it. Then he wouldn't have to repeat the Shemon Esrei.
Even though for him, he would.
No, he wouldn't. Because where he is now, they don't need it. Now, so you have some more interesting dinim over here with this is like this. What happens if by mistake somebody said the same Talmud before tonight? 2 weeks ago, by mistake, somebody we mentioned this. What happened when the guy was davening for the Yomid? He said the same Talmud levracha. So it doesn't matter because the fact that they started in Eretz Yisrael. So, but the Yavid, even if you said it already, some poskim hold, by the way, even before Zayin Cheshvan, after Shmini Atzeres, when you already said Mashiv Haruach Omedet HaGeshem, there are opinions, let's say a week after Sukkot. It's not 2 weeks after Sukkot. A guy by mistake in Israel said the same Talmud Levracha. Or a guy in America said the same Talmud Levracha. So many opinions hold you don't have to repeat the Shemon Esrei. Why? Because we asked for it. We're mentioning it's not a curse anymore. We're saying Hashem gives rain. We don't want to ask for it, not because it's a curse, because people are traveling. But in India, it's not a curse. So therefore, so in those cases, you wouldn't have to repeat the Shemon Esrei. Okay, women would have to repeat it anyway. They say, even let's say somebody forgot the same Talmud by Ma'ariv. Ma'ariv is optional. Nevertheless, you still have to repeat the Shemon Esrei. Because you're davening, first of all, now it's not optional anymore anyway. Okay, that's, okay, it's time for Ma'ariv anyway.